Next on the list is Chicago.
No, okay. Chicago, for me, is not a rock band. It's, I don't know what it's like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. There's so many horns going on. It's not a rock band. It's something else. It's almost too sophisticated. You know, the songs like Saturday in the Park and
You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration.
I mean, you used to slit your wrist by.
You know,
I just don't. I don't know why they're on the list. I think it's lazy.
You know why they're on the list?
Why?
Because of micro trivia on this one.
Yeah.
You want to hear the operatic section that comes in on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, Pizza Terra's voice. The reason why he's got the distinct, like kind of close.
Yeah.
Pizza Terra's Chicago. They're from Chicago, okay?
Yeah.
Duh, they're not from Georgia. Diehard Cubs fan. Pizza Terra. No word to lie. Okay, it's a true story. Diehard Cubs fan. Went to L.A. to see a Dodgers game, and I've been to L.A. Stadium, and it could get pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
Anyways, he got into a fight where someone broke his jaw because he was supporting the Cubs. Cubs were there. Anyways, someone smashed his jaw. So considering he had his jaw wired shut, he had to learn how to he was speaking in a different way. And this is no word of a lie. You could Google this. This is why he sings the way he does.
Wow.
So now you're probably saying, well, why are they on the list? Because someone got lazy. I don't think Foreigner should be on this list.
No, I agree with you.
Grateful Dead, I wouldn't even throw them on there.
The Grateful Dead are actually responsible for a lot of things. The Wall of Sound being one of them. Like they actually were the first band to understand that, hey, people 3 rows down couldn't hear anything. So they created this huge amplifier system with huge speakers. But the thing is with the Grateful Dead is they were a live band. They suck in studio.
Yeah, they were alive. They were a touring band. I mean, that's when I think of the Grateful Dead, I think of Grateful Dead tours and Deadheads and
and pirate tapes.
Yeah, massive amount, which they encourage. God love them. But yeah, they head toward country rock for me, like Truckin' and all their best songs. I don't think of them as rock and roll. Not the way I would think of CCR as rock and roll. I think of the Grateful Dead as more very West Coast, very laid back, and I don't see them.
They're music to drop acid by.
Really. So,
what about the next one, Wheels?
The Cars, I don't really care for them.
Really?
No, well, not as a rock band.
No. Okay. Next.
Prince and the Revolution.
That's not rock.
That's not rock. I don't. That's funk. Whatever you want to call it. Wherever James Brown and
soul. No, you can't put him in soul.
No, I would say, Sign the Family Stone. Wherever these guys live, Parliament, Funkadelic.
Funk, yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a funk thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Prince was so pathetically talented that he crosses genres. I get it. But primarily, I think him is a funk guy.
There should be a special category for Prince. And I'm going to use Kid Rock as an example, because Kid Rock could go from blues to country to rock to rap, and then
but you still want to punch him in the face wherever he belongs.
That's what I gave him a haircut. Actually, I like the guy. He was a good guy. Robert Ritchie's his real name. And then Prince would probably fall into that same category where you could consider, Prince hip hop. You could consider him funk. You could consider him electronic. Pop. These are guys that weren't afraid to test the boundaries.
Prince.
He's like a Bowie.
Yeah, that's really good.
Bowie with rhythm.
Yeah.
yeah. Bowie couldn't dance with crap.
No, but Prince, he's just so talented that what's Eric Clapton's great quote: "Prince has forgotten more than I ever learned." Yeah, I mean that's coming from Eric Clapton. So there you go.
All right, next, Wheels.
Blondie.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Listen, I like Blondie.
She's new wave.
Yeah, it's a new wave band that's just so new wave that I can't see them singing hard rock or just guitar-based stuff like that. They're kind of disco-y new wave, right?
Yeah, they're the link between disco and the 80s.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They linked.
What about the next one?
Steely Dan.
I don't even know anything about them, to be honest. I know who they are.
Steely Dan were really amazing musicians. They were interesting guys. Now, what I'll say about Steely Dan is this. In the 1970s, if you went to a stereo shop in Toronto, for instance, and you wanted to test amplifier, turntable, whatever was going on back then, there were one or two albums you asked for. One was Breezin' by George Benson, and one was Pretzel Logic by Steely Dan. They were the best recorded albums that you could get to separate everything. You could hear they were amazing. So what happened was stereo stores began to stock those albums because even if the system was poor, it sounded pretty good. So when I think of Steely Dan, one of the first things I think of is an immaculate sound. Really great musicians, some catchy songs, heading toward prog rock, but not really. There was the beats were just too steady. Interesting lyrics, like drink Scotch whiskey all night long and die behind the wheel, like stuff that you wouldn't expect from a West Coasty type band. Influential, and they actually had an album come out maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe less than that. So. Again, an interesting group, 2 guys, but I would call them a studio band, as opposed to a live band or a touring band.
Yeah, Steely Dan could be the antithesis of the Grateful Dead, basically.
Yeah, that's really well put. You're right. There was 2 guys, super musicians, a lot of jazz arrangements, jazz progressions. Very hard music to play if you're a guitar player. So.
It's kind of cool though, because what's the next one feels like? This one here kind of ties into it.
The Doobie Brothers.
Kind of similar, are they not?
Yeah, Doobie Brothers starts out right. It was this kind of folky, pot smoking, long, China Grove, and then they hire in a guy to play the keyboards, and his name happens to be Michael McDonald, and Mike McDonald just changes the band into a pop band with these great songs like "What a Fool Believes." Or Minute by Minute, and all these songs. Really great, but it just pulls the whole band in a different direction. And a lot of people resented that. I thought Mike McDonald was super gifted, and I love his voice, and I love some of his songs. But is it rock and roll? Again, it depends what mood you're in.
The next band I'd like to punch.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, a Cheap Trick.
For Dream Police alone, they deserve to be punched.
Who?
Dream Police, their album.
Oh, yeah. What was it? The one that Live at the Hoboken or whatever it was called?
Budokan.
Yeah.
Budokan, thank you. Hoboken. I think it's Foo Fighter. Street Fighter. Oh, you get.
Oh, no.
No, a Cheap Trick. Nah. Nah. I saw him at Blues Fest. Whatever. Gone.
The less we say, the better.
Yeah. Next, Legend.
Johnny Cash, but again, what the heck is he doing on this list?
The Highwaymen. Ian, what do you consider that?
I can sum up Johnny Cash right now in about 5 seconds. All right, this is Johnny Cash. Okay, here we go. That's Johnny Cash. If you ever need to learn, about 90% of Johnny Cash can be sung. That's it. So, that said, Johnny Cash does not belong in a rock and roll list.
Next.
Styx.
Next.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah! Grunge. Jerry Cantrell, Lane Staley, and now they got William Duvall. I like how they said in an interview that William Duvall has not replaced Lane Staley, so I'm very happy with that, so I could still respect them. It is still Jerry Cantrell, and he clearly told the fans that William Duvall is not there to replace Lane Staley. He actually met William Duvall through one of William Duvall's band himself, where he just kind of teamed up with him, and they talked about how they just went to his house, started playing, and he says, "Well, listen, man, why don't you just come and help me do something on," he wanted to kind of bring back Alice in Chains a bit. So it was still a little bit of time, like a lot of time had passed once Lane passed away, that they decided to come back. So I think Lane passed away in 2000. Make it sound like I was at the funeral. Jesus. Lane passed away in 2003, and then I think they came back in 2009. So I give, that's cool. 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
Ian? That's
Sure.
all right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
so yeah, I'm good. That's my That's my love for Alice in Chains. Like, I'm not going to go on there for hours because I could just sit here. Why are you going to play an Alice in Chains song?
Well, I won't play that, but what I will say, they belong on the list.
They do?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're grunge.
Yeah, but they're crossover.
Yeah, they're a crossover. Yeah.
Man in the Box is very heavy. That's it. You know, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm a man in the box. Sing that one in French. Je suis le monsieur dans une boîte.
Doesn't really work.
No,
does
c'est
it?
un homme dans une boîte. It's like that whole expression. It's the good Quebec. It's a guy from Quebec. It doesn't sound right.
No.
I don't.
Let's move on before we insult too many people.
Wait. You know the Quebec singer Gregory Charles?
Oh.
Wait,
do
he's
I
not a
know?
singer so much as an entertainer.
Wait, is he related to Sonny Charles?
No.
I think he is because he performed with Charles Aznavour. That's what he opened for him. This is years ago in Paris. So I would say, yeah, there is the link. That's just me. And he had a big hit with Jacques Brel. I forget the name of it. But yeah, he's been around forever.
All right. Next on the list, Wheels.
Bon Jovi.
Wow! You're halfway there. Wow! Living on a prayer.
Oh my God! I mean, how bad does it have to get? Right? I mean, before Bon Jovi was a hair band, and I don't know. They somehow got through the sluice gate, and now they perform for presidents. I don't get it. He wears a suit now and talks about investing in the stock markets. But there you go. People get it. No one is a New Jersey band. I think if Springsteen is a New Jersey band, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that. Yeah, because, that's right. They hail from New Jersey.
Yeah, so...
Springsteen hails from New Jersey, but when
Sure
you think of
does.
Jersey, you think of Springsteen.
Oh, yeah, he's played it up like crazy, and maybe rightly so, but I don't...
What do you think of Indiana, though, when you hear Indiana?
Indiana wants me, but Lord, I can't go back there. That's what I think of. Indiana...
No, but when you hear of Indiana, who do you think of?
Nothing. Nothing. I just think
Not even
of...
Sonny
Wheat.
Charles?
I think, well, you're talking about John Mellencamp, because the Mellencamp did something with Sonny Charles before he became... Okay, he was John Cougar, and that's when he worked with Sonny.
And that's because he was chasing cougars around.
You're right. That was
Older
that-
women. He liked the older women. That's what they call him, John Cougar. No, I'm serious.
I
You
know.
guys think I'm crazy.
No, it is that, and then his manager said, "Cool out on that."
Yeah, like
'Cause
to
we're
go
not
for
going
younger
any-
women.
They called him John Mellencamp, and they didn't know that was derogatory. So then they called him Mellencamp. It was just kind of interesting, and so he kept that name. But by that time, Sonny was gone, as far as I know.
You know who follows me on Twitter, actually, is the fact that we're mentioning Mellencamp, and he's not even on the list yet.
Yeah.
Kenny Aronoff,
Oh, sure.
the drummer. Doesn't know who I am. And he follows me under not my radio name, my real name,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. And actually, he tweeted me, and I was like, oh my God. Kenny Aronoff just tweeted me, and I was like in heaven. Not many people know who the hell Kenny Aronoff is. I do.
Yeah.
John Mellencamp's drummer for years. And I don't think he did anything with Sonny Charles.
Never. They didn't work together, but because Sonny's not a big drum guy.
All right. Wheels, moving on the list. What do you got there?
Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble.
Isn't he
Wow.
blues?
Yeah, I'd say it's rock and roll.
Rock and roll?
Well, Southern rock.
Hmm.
He was so gifted. Again, go to YouTube. There's about an 8-minute video of him warming up, and some guy made the great comment, "This is a guy warming up." I mean, he's just chewing on gum, scratching himself at about 9 o'clock in the morning, yawning, and he's playing. I think Jimi Hendrix. Whatever he's playing, it's just wow. And then he kind of wanders off and scratches. This guy was so pathetically gifted. And his brother's quite good too, but Stevie Ray Vaughan, what a loss that was.
Oh, his brother Vince Vaughn, the actor?
Yeah, Vince Vaughn, who was had a lot of kind of comedies. They don't look the same, but again, they're both aggressive guys that are into the arts.
Next.
Talking Heads.
Yeah, next.
Green Day.
Love him. That's punk.
Yeah.
What's
Green
popular
Day,
punk? Let's put it that way.
They're kind of American punk. They're not as angry as British punk.
Yeah, but they're political, though.
Oh, yeah.
They hate
American
Republicans,
idiot.
man.
Yeah.
Who doesn't these days?
Well, right now, Captain Orange.
That's true. Yeah. So next one is the Birds.
Yeah, that's Ian's band.
Hey, Mr.
The tambourine man, play a song for me.
Is that
That's a
rock.
Dylan song, is it not?
Yeah, it's a Dylan song, and they folked it up. I'm not sure if I can play it, but something by Dylan, of course, singing like, "Hey, Mr. Tambourine, play a song for." Okay, Roger McGuinn got a hold of it, and they folked it up, kind of like, "Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me." Very dreamy and West Coast, and very folky. Roger McGuinn's an interesting guy. He used to play with Bobby Darin, of all people. He was in Bobby Darin's band.
That splish splash, I was taking a bath.
Bang, bang, I saw the whole... Yeah. And so then he got into this folk stuff. And they covered a few Dylan songs. Of course, David Crosby was in that band. He got kicked out for being obnoxious. And Graham Parsons, too. They belong on a rock and roll list? I don't think so.
All right.
Maybe as a school band in the sense that like all these great musicians went through it, but
Yeah, really.
Well, like the
You're
Yardbirds,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one there, Wheels?
Blue Oyster Cult.
I don't know where to throw those ones in there.
I'm not going to...
Not even gonna bother. Oh, this one here. I love this band.
Which one's that?
The Harry Levin Trio.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny? They were in the deli business before they decided to pursue a dream of music.
What are they from? What town are they from?
I want to say, is it why? I think they're Nebraska.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of they used to have this kind of weird gothic thing going on, and a lot of the places like Nebraska, you know what I
Because
mean?
of the cornfields, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's-
spooky kind of Children of the Corn stuff.
Cornhuskers and all that stuff.
Yeah, and again, one of their claims to fame, if you look at, and there's a rock and roll documentary made of the Altamont concert with the Rolling Stones, and they're there, and they're in their infancy, but all the like 4 or 5 bands, whatever it was, opened for the Stones, and they were one of the number 2. And the crowd was so insane with the Hells Angels and all that stuff. It was tough to play. Those guys hung in there. So I ask our listeners to go out and take a look at is it called Sympathy for the Devil? And it's about that concert that went so wrong. But these guys, the trio, hung in there.
There was
And-
3 brothers. Harry. It's funny because Harry is the herald,
Yeah.
main brother. There was Daryl, and then the other one I think was, I want to say Jeff. Is it
Yeah.
Harold? Yeah, Harold, Daryl, and Jeff. Jeff's the baby.
Yeah, he was the youngest.
He's the youngest, and their father actually was Earl.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Earl Levin. So
No, there's one of those bands that's in the background. But if you're interested in rock and roll music, classic rock,
Harry Levin Trio, baby.
Oh,
From
wow.
Nebraska.
Yeah, in fact, their breakthrough album was called Nebraska, and Springsteen kind of parodied that later. If you look at Nebraska from Springsteen's release, there are a few songs from the trio on that he's covering because they're so Nebraska, they're so kind of isolated that way.
I find that they're like, yeah, you could tell they grew up on a farm.
Yeah,
It's just I don't know, man. It's just wrong for me to say that. I'm not dissing people from the country, but you could tell, like, when they came out, like Ian said, in infancy, they're a little rough around the edges there. And,
Oh, yeah.
come out with overalls, and it's like, come on, you
I
know.
remember one of the songs was called "Milking the Cow."
Yeah.
yeah. I don't see Jefferson Airplane singing that. Maybe as an irony, and I sure don't see Roxy Music.
No.
I am milking the cow. So there you go. But I'm glad they're on the list. Easily forgotten, but they're.
Oh, they were forgotten, all right. I'm glad they brought them back. They were on Carson, were they not?
They were on Carson, but Carson wasn't hosting that night. It was Joey Bishop, and they didn't know what to do with them, and they just brought them on. And after that, they brought in, I think, Vic Damone. So it didn't really fit. They didn't get the break they needed on the Tonight
No,
Show.
you're right. Next one is, well, this is where the rumor happened. If it's true, Ian, did you or did you not date Joan Jett?
Okay, I don't really want to go there now because it occasions many dark memories. Joan Jett is a lovely person, and she's full of life, and she's very cheery, contrary to her image suggests. And she really is a laugh a minute and wholesome. And I don't want to put her down anyway, but I knew her briefly, for a little bit of time, and we shared something special. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Perfect. What's the next band?
The Smashing Pumpkins.
Ah, yes, in Quebec, they're known as Les Citrouilles Écrasées.
But again, what are they doing on a rock list?
No, they shouldn't be here at all. Well, this is actually a Rubin special, because Rick Rubin, Rick Rubin, yeah, did he? Yeah, he did.
While
this
they
one
were
of
the
his-
Smashing Pumpkins? I think it was just with Corgan.
That's it?
I think.
Because that's recent with Corgan.
Yeah. I don't think at that point he was still doing the Cash stuff, I think.
Okay, so we're done with them.
So
Next.
yeah, the Temptations.
That's not a Rick Rubin project.
No, not at all.
Why are they even on the list?
The Temptations?
Rock, really?
The Temptations are like pure Motown. I mean, they define Motown.
That's
It's
soul,
nothing
really.
to do with rock and roll.
Yeah. All right, next.
The Velvet Underground. Again, very...
Let's do it, right?
Standing on the corner, suitcase in my hand.
That's Sweet Jane. That's one of the, I guess, their biggest hit. Lou Reed, John Cage. I mean, these guys, yeah, they knocked it out of the park. The Velvet Underground were an invention almost of Andy Warhol's. And for some reason, it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. So there you go. What's really strange about their music is you can listen to it now, and it's not dated. And it was recorded 50 years ago, 5-0. And that just doesn't happen. You listen to a band like Love or any of those real 60s band, it sounds really dated. Check out the Velvet Underground sometime. I don't get it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Well, what I don't get is the next one on the list, Wheels.
Motley Crue.
That's not rock.
No, Nitrous, Kansas, really.
No. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
No, it's not rock and roll. Funk, if anything.
Grand Funk Railroad. Well, that explains it all. They don't belong there. This one here, Simon and Garfunkel.
It's folk rock if you really want to push it,
Yeah.
but it's really folk.
It's really folk.
Stone Temple Pilots. Now, I got an issue with this one. Not because it's on the list. I'm very happy it's on the list because they were coming out of that grunge era, and God bless Scott Wayland. And here's another micro trivia. His real name is Scott Davies. He took his stepfather's name, who I think legally adopted him. So he went by Scott Wayland, just so you guys would know that. Got the new stuff with Jeff Gutt, or Goot. It's Gutt, I think.
Well, as he ages, it's going to be gut.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I
Not
went.
if he aged in Germany. Then it was probably still good.
You know what?
You could say good's got a gut.
It's like it was. I don't know. I got it. I felt I had to buy a CD. I bought
Yeah.
it. I don't know. It was all right. Like, it's just not.
Well, it could have been worse. You could have bought an REO Speedwagon CD.
No, that's next on the list, or that's before the white. That's after the White Stripes. But I don't know why they're on there.
Well, the White Stripes, didn't they invent something for enamel on teeth? I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, you think of Crest White Strips,
No,
but
okay.
yeah. So on this list, STP, it's got to be with Scott Wayland in my books. I can't give it to Jeff Gutt. Give it to the DeLeon brothers, that they still want to keep it going, and they're very talented. But don't call yourself STP. White Stripes, something else. REO Speedwagon. Frig, I don't know.
Skip ahead, skip ahead, skip ahead.
Oh, you like that one, eh? Skip ahead. Oh, here we go. Ian's band, Three Dog Night.
Yeah, what can I say? I mean, Three Dog Night were basically a cover band for somehow discovered great songs like Joy to the World, or what's the Harry Nilsson song? The One is the Loneliest. They did great covers, and in fact, they originated them, kind of like, I don't know, the Monkees, and they became very popular for a while in the late 60s, early 70s. And interesting they're on the list. I don't think of them at all as a rock group, but they sold out, I don't know, stadiums is a push. They were extremely popular, Three Dog Night, but you just don't even think of them as a legitimate group for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it's very hard to find their albums now. So now the next book is funny because right after this, on this list we're looking at, listeners, is Chuck Berry. Okay, if anybody belongs in this list, it's Chuck Berry.
Yeah,
Maybelline,
Why can't you be true? mean-
Maybelline.
Chuck Berry was one of the originators.
well, if James Brown is the godfather of soul, Chuck Berry is the godfather of
yeah.
rock.
Who did Earth Angel? That's a Pretenders, eh? No, that
No,
was the
Earth
Penguins or what the hell? Drifters,
Who?
Platters.
Platters.
No, Earth Angel. I forget. They were more of a one hit.
Earth Angel.
Earth angel, please be mine.
It all sounds the same. Now Chuck Berry is basically this is Chuck. His songs are all like this. Way to Louisiana from New Orleans, right? That's the and we accept that now as old time, but he's the guy that really brought that forward. He's the godfather of rock and roll. He almost invented. John Lennon once famously said, if you had to give rock and roll another name, it would be Chuck Berry. So he's the reason really the Rolling Stones, became the Rolling Stones.
Well, there's also Mr. Cash in My Hand.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh
he-
yeah, he wanted to be paid up front.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was okay, is the old thing. Listen to the song, not the singer. He was an unpleasant guy in many ways.
Sonny Charles actually didn't mind getting paid after.
Well, because he became quite sophisticated with investing, and he would take even stock options instead of cash. And he took some early Microsoft, and that's how we bought that yacht that he burnt down later after a party.
For the insurance money.
Well, they tried to claim insurance money, but it didn't work out because he wasn't that bright in the end.
What else you got there, Wheels?
Rage Against the Machine.
That's just angry political hate everybody government.
Oh, yeah. In fact, their original name was Rage Against Martin Sheen. And no one understood what that meant. And they got in a lot of trouble from his group. So,
What do you got next?
The Monkees.
Yeah, Neil Diamond's band. Thanks.
oh, yeah. Here
Yeah, they're a
we
cover band,
come,
basically.
Walking down the street. Yeah. The Monkees were an interesting band because they made money for songwriters like Neil Diamond who weren't making money at the time. Carole King, like people that weren't necessarily in the good books at the time, were recorded by the Monkees, and they got royalties, and they kept going. So, say what you will with the Monkees, we used to call them the Prefab Four. Yeah, well, now we accept it, of course. At the time, they got a lot of heat, but from Justin Timberlake to whomever, a lot of time these guys start on TV. And that's just the way it goes. It's okay to do that. It doesn't,
Although in this
maybe-
case it's interesting because none of them all of them played instrument, but none of them played the instrument that their character played on TV.
I think Mike Nesmith, maybe one of the things that added legitimacy to the Monkees is Paul Butterfield covered a Mike Nesmith song in like '67 or something called "Mary Mary," which is a great song. It's a rock and roll song. And after that, people thought, maybe there's something to them. So the Monkees belong here? I don't know. You know what I mean? Again, it depends on your mood.
Buffalo Springfield, to me, that's basically Stephen Stills.
Stephen Stills and
Neil Young.
the Young, Richie Fury, a few guys, and
Is Crosby, Still and Nash before there was Crosby, Still and
Well,
Nash?
actually, it's just Stills and Nash.
yeah, they had a song.
Was Sonny Charles wanted to be there, and they said no. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Charles. That's what it was supposed to be, right?
Well, then Young kind of moosed in. Okay, Buffalo Springfield had a big hit. and
Stop, baby. What's that sound? Everybody goes,
So
what's
when-
going down?
What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the streets. So it's Stephen Stills, early Stephen Stills, the same guy that went on to write Judy Blue Eyes and not Sonny, right? So they were kind of a West Coast, I won't call them a protest band, folk band, really. Didn't last long. I think maybe one or two albums.
More or less, yeah.
But every time I hear Buffalo Springfield, I think of James Taylor because I find it sounded so much like James Taylor.
Well, James Taylor sounds like Buffalo Springfield, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Whatever, the nasal thing going there, it's like Dennis Leary said it best. It felt like he felt like he said a joke thing where he could sue people like Barry Manilow and James Taylor and say, Your Honor, I didn't experience my first life with a woman until after because of James Taylor and and Barry Manilow because of their stupid songs, But I give James Taylor credit. He's folk. He's not even on the list, so I don't bother why I'm talking about him. All right, I'm just rambling on. 9 Inch Nails, aka Nin. When I hear Nin, I think of Mark's mom because her name is Janine, and we call her Nin. So when people say, Nin, I'm like, of course I know her. She's my neighbor. So this shouldn't be on this list.
Neither's the next one.
Tool, nope. Weezer could fall to that modern Beach Boys stuff. What do you think, Ian?
Weezer's like Buddy Holly for college kids.
Yeah.
No, Buddy Holly's right after that.
Buddy Holly's next on the list.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly was probably a genius. He did more 3 chords than, think of all his great songs. Peggy Sue, That'll Be the Day. He had so much going on. And I think he was only 22 when he died. I mean, that guy was super ambitious. He was from Texas, Lubbock, Texas, and I listen to Buddy Holly, and I hear this weird kind of collage of country music and the beginnings of rock and roll. He was great, Buddy Holly.
Black Crowes, that's... Nah. I modern.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could fall into it, but...
Could fall into it, yeah. Very southern for me, whether or not they, want to be. That's the sound I get.
What about the next one?
Sly and the Family Stone.
Sly and the Family Stone, wow. I mean, probably the first big funk band. People are amazed they were at Woodstock. They're the best thing that probably in the Woodstock movie, if you watch it when they come on, the place just ignites, right? So, Dance to the Music, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, all these amazing songs. Yeah, totally underrated. Micro trivia. During the disco era, late 70s, early 80s, they remixed Sly Stone's hits, and they called it 10 Years Too Soon. And they put in a really heavy bass and kind of that disco offbeat. Totally against his wishes or even knowledge. By that time, he was so buzzed out he couldn't stop them. It's a very odd album to get, but they remixed it for disco. So,
And the next one, we got Neil Young and Crazy Horse.
okay.
Oh, here we go.
Here's a little Neil Young. But
Oh.
this is going to have to do... Okay.
Knocking on my cellar door. I love you, baby. Can I have some more? Gone, the damage done.
Neil Young isn't that hard to do for some reason. I really think that the bravest man in the world was his father, Scott Young. Scott Young used to write sports for the Globe and Mail. He was pretty good. I used to read his column. And I'm sure one day Neil went to him and said, Dad, I have a career choice. And Scott, his father, said, what would you like to do, Neil? And Neil would have said, I want to be a singer, Dad. And he would listen very, he said, well, and looked away and thought, good, creeping Jesus. Okay, well, try it out, Neil. Thanks, Dad. And sure enough, this voice got him through. So when you hear Neil Young sing, I don't know what it is, man, but you just go with it. You're thinking, if the guy's got that much guts, I'm going to listen to him. He has a horrible voice, but it works. One of the reasons it works is he writes his own songs. If you hear him cover something, you kind of go, yeah, that's an odd voice. So my hat's off to his father who thought, go for it, Neil.
Plus, he was riding a hearse at the time, so that really didn't help his image.
Yeah, that's a great song, or a great story, rather, but there's bumping into, was it Stephen Stills, I think?
Yeah.
And forming Buffalo Springfield in the 60s. And then, one thing about Neil Young is he's very ambitious, and I remember when Harvest came out and after the Gold Rush, these are great albums. So, whatever. He's got a good songwriting kind of drive to him. I personally probably could do without a lot of it, but yeah, he had some good riffs, and he belongs. Rock and roll, I guess. He wrote some rock songs, but I think of Neil Young as a folky.
Well, I think that's why they put him under Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse is the stuff he does when he doesn't feel folky.
Yeah, really. Like Cinnamon Girl or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we got Ian's other band, Moby Grape.
Okay, Moby Grape. Insanely popular band. They came out of San Francisco in the late 60s, mid-60s, and they were up there with Jefferson Airplane, Grateful Dead. And one of their claims to fame is they were kind of the, I don't know, movie within a movie, film within a film with Peter Fonda. He made one movie, a big popular movie before Easy Rider in '68 called The Grape. And it was all about this guy, played by Peter Fonda, who's a music manager, and he discovers Moby Grape. And it is known as one of the seminal movies of the counterculture. And if you ever want to see like an outstanding performance by a musical band, and even Peter Fonda, whom they say can't act, well, he can, you should check it out. It's called The Grape. I think it was produced by Roger Corman in 1968. So I think that says it all for The Grape.
All right, moving on along.
For some strange reason, Prince is there, but as a solo artist this time.
Yeah, he did two things. He's not rock.
So, but we already covered that. So we'll go to America.
It's a Neil Young cover band. Next. I'm serious. Unless Ian has some tidbit.
No, I mean, they wrote some great songs, right?
Sister Golden Hair.
Yeah. The
Ventura Highway. Ventura Highway. Whatever.
You're right.
But Boulevard, what is it called? Yeah, Ventura Highway.
You
Yeah.
can hear Neil Young singing that, can't you? I've been through
To the desert on a horse with no name. It feels good to be out on the range.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Ferris, you're not congested enough to do Neil Young.
No,
Really.
you're right, Wills. What's he got next? What's next?
Dave Matthews Band.
They're considered world music to me. Yeah, no. Stevie Ray Vaughan again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stooges. I just know the Three Stooges.
The Stooges, yeah. I mean, they're kind of Iggy Pop. There you go, Iggy Pop and this record, I'm bored. I'm the chairman of the board. Sure. I mean, Iggy, what can you... Is it rock? Yeah. It's garage rock. It's pre-punk. I don't know what the... Iggy Pop is out there on a shoe shine and a smile. I don't know. He's out there by himself. He's untouchable. I don't know. When I think of Iggy Pop, I think of pre-punk. Like, not kind of as, I don't know, Indecipherable is a lot of punk. But I've seen him a few times live. He's a good performer, he's an entertainer, and he's an angry guy. And he still is to this day. And he didn't do it in his looks.
Oh, God, no.
It's Jim Osterberg, I think it's, yeah.
He looks crazy. What do we got next?
Meatloaf, which we're going to skip for obvious reasons.
Yeah, my mom makes a good meatloaf, but yeah, no. Bad Out of Hell. Like, I can't believe this. It is. They list albums. Bad Out of Hell, Bad Out of Hell 2, bonus disc, and then Bad Out of Hell 3, The Monster is Loose. In other words, I couldn't think of any other freaking titles.
Exactly.
Ray
Charles for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's a genius, but he's not a rock genius.
Yeah. Soul.
Yeah, soul. Yeah, rhythm and blues.
B-52s, that's pop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's call it West Texas rock.
Yeah, or I don't know, new wave pop.
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't, rock lobster. I don't. It's not rock music, but
You want a micro trivia on this one?
sure.
Fred Schneider,
Yeah.
lead singer. You know who his cousin is?
No.
Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister.
No way.
Yes, sir.
That is wild.
That is wild. And Dee Schneider's doing a comeback. He released an album.
I know.
And guess who's doing the backup vocals?
No way.
I swear to God. Take a guess.
I can't even begin to guess.
Just say it.
Sonny?
Yeah, you got it. Sonny Charles, baby.
Wow, that is so micro.
What's the next one, Wheels?
Big Brother and the Olding Company.
Yeah, this sounds like a place that's going to do my taxes. Or my
and spy on you at the same time.
But who are these guys?
Well, they were Janis Joplin's backup. They were a band, and then Janis Joplin joined, and of course it became Janis Joplin's band. But
Good to know.
Yeah, there you go. They another piece of my heart, and yeah, they were a good band. But
Could we consider Steve Miller Band Sonny Charles's backup?
well, for that performance you mentioned, where he does "Fly Like an Eagle," yeah, I would say he's Steve's backing him up at that point.
All right. So, anything else you want to add to Big Brother?
I think I've added enough.
So the next one is the Bangles.
Yeah, I don't know how that made it.
Oh well,
Just another manic Monday.
I would think they're not really rock.
They were gorgeous, though. Man, they were.
Mercy.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah. Poison.
Bret
you know.
Michaels, he hooked up with Miley Cyrus. I'm jealous.
What?
Yeah.
Incredible.
He was upset, Billy Ray. He wanted to punch out Bret Michaels for hooking up with his daughter.
Wouldn't you be?
I don't know, man. I think Miley Cyrus is hot. I don't care.
No, I meant having
just-
Brent Michaels as a son-in-law.
Oh my lord.
No, I think it was just a fling. I don't think it was.
I sincerely hope so.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fling that's going to give you hepatitis for a while, but
No, that's mild.
Yeah.
Poison. They're metal.
They're
Oh,
a
yeah.
metal band. Yeah, and they pride themselves on it.
The Loving Spoonful.
No, in my humble opinion, Loving Spoonful is a folk band, or they were a folk band. You know, hot down summer in the city. That's their raunchiest. I mean, do you believe in magic? I don't really see that as rock and
Oh,
roll.
here's another one. This one here is really cool.
What's that one?
The Anne Murray Experience.
well,
Oh, wow.
it's a tie, though. It's the Anne Murray Experience and Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah, but we kind of already kind of ran off with Josie
True.
in the beginning. But I think Ian wants to elaborate on Anne Murray.
Well, no, I don't want to go into too much. Okay, Anne Murray, most people know her as kind of the songbird from Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. And she, in fact, you know, she had Snowbird and she had a few hits like that.
She had no rhythm when she danced, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, she used to, but then she had a leg injury. And she couldn't dance anymore. But she used to be quite a little sprinter. Now, the Anne Murray Experience is... She got famous from a Canadian show on CBC. I can't recall the name of the show. It wasn't Rawhide, but it was like the...
The Canadian equivalent.
No, I
of-
think it was The Littlest Hobo.
And anyway, she was known before that show for just hardcore rock. And we mentioned the Sonics earlier. Yeah, well, Anne Murray Experience, she was a goddess of three-chord rock and roll. And it was an overamped board. So a lot of the stuff they did a remix of Louie Louie. Like, I'm not going to play it, but you know the way... Louie Louie, I can't obviously play Fuzztone, but she would come out, and people would think because it's Anne Murray, she'd say something like,
Louie, Louie, oh no, we gotta go.
you know, Anne Murray didn't do that. The Anne Murray Trio came out with like really hard, and that caught the Canadian airwaves. This is pre-Guess Who. And it caught some of the West Coast stations. Anne Murray Experience had what they call regional hits that way. And then she went country, and she went Snowbird. And,
Although, isn't Snowbird about cocaine?
Yeah, what really is that? I mean, Anne Murray also had a hit called Bolivian Marching Dust.
Okay.
And, yeah, and that was obviously about cocaine. She was really zapped a lot of the time.
So I guess it really wasn't about her just going to the States for the wintertime and then coming back.
Oh, my friend. Talk about the Blizzard of Oz. I mean, she was known for nonstop partying.
All right.
And
Well,
at the same time, she was with Keith Richards.
So the next one is the Mothers of Invention.
yeah, never heard of them.
Mothers of Invention was Frank Zappa's band, and I don't think of Frank Zappa as rock and roll.
We would put him maybe under experimental.
Yeah, really, that's good.
There's a guy that defecated on stage, urinated in the snow.
No, I think...
No, he warned you about her urinating
You're
in the
thinking
snow.
of the Anne Murray Experience. They did that for attention only.
And Zappa warned you about it with yellow snow.
That's right.
Watch it where those huskies go.
Yeah.
Don't you eat that yellow snow?
There you go. Four Tops. I don't know why the heck they put them on there.
No.
Marvin Gaye,
Same
same thing. Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Creed.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Well, they're alternative.
Yeah.
Megadeth is metal. James Brown is soul.
Soul funk. James Brown is out there on his own. Again, almost like Prince.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to anybody.
Pixies. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, I guess so. The rock and roll, sure.
George Thorogood and the Destroyers.
Yeah, George Thorogood's an interesting cat because he had these hits with other people's songs, and he was, Bo Diddley stuff and Chuck Berry stuff. Yeah, sure, he's rock and roll, all right. What else we got?
Well, that's what I got there. So now the last list I want to skim through. This is what I want. I'm going to read it out,
Yeah.
and you guys are going to tell me yay or nay.
Okay.
So, classic rock. Now we're going to that traditional classic rock, and Ian, you could just dump on it if you want.
No.
So here we go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Both of you have to answer yay or nay. Led Zeppelin.
Yay.
Yay.
Perfect. Beatles.
Halfway.
Yay, but again,
Rock for the suburbs.
I'm not sure if they're rock.
Rolling Stones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The Doors.
Yay.
Yay, but again, I don't know if they always remind me of early prog rock cut with blues or something.
Okay.
I mean, listen to L.A. Woman. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's rock.
I said the Doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jimi Hendrix.
Well, we covered that already. Yay.
Yeah, he's rock.
Yeah, I just got to read it off, man. Don't get mad at me. The Who.
Rock.
Yeah, rock. Yay.
Pink Floyd.
Prog rock.
Prog
Good.
rock.
Eagles.
Yay.
Yay, but again, country rock, I would say, right?
Rush.
I mean,
Prog.
massive prog.
Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a rock and roll band for me, yeah.
Joplin.
Janis Joplin was, somewhere between blues and rock.
All right.
Yeah.
This one here, I say no. The Allman Brothers.
Sound rock, really.
Southern rock.
Yeah. Eric Clapton, and then they put in brackets, including Cream and Derek and the Dominoes. I did a term paper on them. No. Yeah, they are, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Eric is and Cream's not.
CCR?
Yeah, they're rock and roll. I mean, the 3-chord for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Yeah, how about yes?
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, they're prog.
I'd say no. Peter Frampton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. He was with the group called Humble Pie before. And
Yeah.
There was rock.
Love. How about Love?
Love is prog rock. I don't see them as rock and roll.
Santana's a no.
No.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Don't go there.
Okay. Steppenwolf.
No, yeah, I like to dream. Yeah, I mean, they're
Were they Canadian or American? That's the
There's a huge debate on that one.
Yeah, there is.
Because I think more than half the members are Canadian.
Yeah.
The-
singer John Kay is from Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So-
they're
It's odd to hear him speak because of that German accent.
And they spend time in Canada, but they lived most of their lives in the States, so they're world music.
well. This,
They used to play in Toronto.
well, that's what I've thought.
Yeah.
I thought they were Canadian.
No, they used to be in Yorkville area with. Here's micro trivia. There's also a band that played at the same time called the Mina Birds, with somebody named Neil Young, and a guy named Rick James. So yes, Rick James and Neil Young at one time were in the same band. There
I
you
like
go.
that. And this is now where the operatic section comes in.
Sure.
Queen.
Yeah.
Um,
Glam rock.
They were way ahead of their time, though.
yeah, I don't think of Queen as a rock band. I think of them as a prog rock or theater rock or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sabbath. That's
They're metal.
Yeah.
It's a metal band.
Skinnerd is southern rock.
Southern rock.
Yeah. Deep Purple.
Well, they're proto-prog.
Yeah, that's
really.
a good way of putting it. They're proto-prog.
So now we got the other list of bands some consider as classic rock due to varied sound and overlapping era. And I say no on Bob Dylan.
Oh, really? No,
Okay.
really.
Yeah, just pure folk. I don't care if he adds electric guitar or not. I mean, he's just
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
I don't see them as rock, but I know they're there.
The Police.
Roxanne, I don't.
No.
No, rock. No,
Journey. Okay. What are
we're
they?
giving them enough attention.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like they're one of these bands that everybody has heard, but
no one knows.
no one knows,
I know.
and unless you've seen a show, there's really no point.
Yeah, really.
AC/DC. I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're classic rock. I don't know why people can't admit it. They came out in 70. They came out in the 70s. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Van Halen. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I'll throw it in there.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
Bruce. He's there.
Yeah.
Bowie.
well, glam rock.
Wow, that's hard.
Yeah.
Def
Leppard.
But they're borderline metal.
Leopard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
borderline.
ELO. I can't believe it wasn't on that freaking list.
I don't think of Electric Light Orchestra as a rock band. I think of them. They're not even prog rock.
They're a concept.
How about the?
Yeah, that's right.
Their concept. How about the Alan Parsons Project?
That's prog.
Wow.
Just the name should tell you it's prog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden. That's metal.
Yeah.
Kiss is a business.
It is. It's a very well-run business.
Styx.
I don't
Hard rock, maybe.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Neil Young.
I don't see them as rock and roll. I see them as folk rock.
All right. How about Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sonny Charles?
Well, I would see them as folk funk.
Okay. And then it said newer bands that are wrongfully classified as classic rock. Nirvana is not classic rock.
No.
Neither is
No.
Pearl Jam.
No.
Neither's GNR.
No.
And
You could maybe in the right mood slide GNR in and some stuff.
that's if only like us three are doing the list and we're cheating.
Yeah, like I'm not sure, but with some, yeah, I've seen them in classic rock lineups.
U2,
Mm.
modern.
Well, they're
rock.
modern, but I wouldn't even put them in rock. They're pop.
No, I don't know what they are.
And then they have this other little thing
Besides
called
irritating.
bands from the 60s and 70s that definitely aren't classic rock. And in brackets, they put wrong sound. We got Beach Boys, Bob Marley.
With Beach Boys, yeah, we talked about this earlier. I don't think the Beach Boys is a rock band. I don't know. Sure, I think it was a surf band. Yeah.
They got Bob Marley, which we know is reggae.
It's a reggae band.
Clash is punk.
Oh yeah.
And then the final two that they have, they got James Brown and then Stevie Wonder. That's sold to me.
Well, Stevie Wonder is one of those rare bird guys that can actually do pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, he did Superstition with Jeff Beck doing a vamp on it.
I wish he would have done something with Sonny Charles, though.
Yeah, you get two clashes. Sometimes opposites don't work out that way. They don't attract.
Well, that's what I got on my end. Dr.
Yeah.
Clark, you want to add anything, or you're good?
I see the van waiting for me outside. I have to go back to the home. Yeah, I'll be within a second. It's sad. I do not need the cuffs. This is the thing. I'm a danger to anyone. But they have
Except
these
yourself.
cuffs, you know.
Take it yourself.
Myself, okay.
Well, as you know, the Ferris wheel has a new addition, which we're very happy to have with us, which is Dr. Ian Clark, musicologist. I'm one of your co-hosts. Actually, we're going to sign off with our first co-host, Dr. Ian Clark. You want to sign off?
Well, I just want to say that it's been quite a pleasure. First of all, meeting you guys. This is the first time that we really came together. And I want to remind you that you have to sign those papers for my community work
Yes.
support before I leave.
I'll
It's
sign
not
them for
valid.
you.
But that's the big reason I'm here. And besides that, it's been quite enjoyable discussing music.
A pleasure having you. Wheels, anything you want to sign off on?
Nope, I'm done.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, our email address has not changed. It's theferriswheelshow@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @ferriswheelshow. So be very kind and follow us. And as Dr. Clark plays a little bit of music as we sign off, I'm your other co-host, Ferris Kennedy, and I want to say thank you all and have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.